In the studio with me is the Melburnian of the Year, announced the weekend at a very toffee ceremony with the Lord Mayor and others. Not a sports star, not an actor. Major General Nottle from the Salvation Army. Good morning.
Good morning, Neil.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
I know your attitudes on a lot of things. I know a little about your background, I know the involvement with the Collingwood Footy Club as chaplain and the rest of it. But how did you end up a Salvo?
I think I was a fetal salvo, to be honest. I think my family were involved. My mum's family really struggled, and her dad...
In what sense?
Oh, her dad died when her mother was 7.5 months pregnant with my mum, and he was a gambler and pretty heavy drinker, and they belonged to another denomination, and the member of that, or the leader of that denomination came round and saw my grandmother, who was an Irish Catholic, and said, "You've fallen behind in your giving to the church." And this was just after her husband had died, so she was left with 3 little kids and 7.5 months pregnant with my mum. So she told him where to go with that. And
she was struggling, and he wanted money.
Yeah.
For the church, not for himself, for the church.
Yeah, for the church, yeah. And this is back in 1928, so local salvos found out about it and went round and delivered food, and then they did some sensational work, yeah. And then our family aligned with the salvos and been involved ever since.
It strikes me, I don't know if this is common, but a number of people I've spoken to who are committed to the Salvation Army tell me similar stories. You know, there's stories of alcohol abuse or gambling or desperation where they've been helped or families been helped and they've embraced the Salvation Army. Is that common?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think often what happens is people find themselves in difficult circumstances, get good help often, and get back on their feet, and then they feel an obligation not just to give back to the Salvation Army, but to actually give to others that are doing it tough.
But everybody rebels. At no stage did you think as a young man, oh, these salvos are a bunch of whackers?
Oh, absolutely I did. But I'll tell you a crazy story. I actually went to Adelaide to get away from it all. This was when I was 19, and I thought to start uni over here. I'm going to cut loose. And walking past the Adelaide Town Hall, heard some music, and I thought, geez, that sounds good. Wandered in, and it was a Salvo Congress. The Adelaide Town Hall, walked into the middle of it, and Eva Burrows, of all people, spotted me and came up, and that was it. I was back in again. So my rebellion lasted for about 24 hours.
Is that divine intervention, do you think?
I'd say it was. Yeah, I'm not sure if leaders in the Salvation Army would say that.
But you really believe it was a matter of destiny that happened?
Look, I think so. It's really interesting with this work we do in the city. It's hard to describe, but I actually feel like I'm in the place I'm meant to be in. It probably sounds a bit weird, but I actually feel I'm in the right place. And it's almost like it is destiny.
What were you going to study at uni? What was your plan?
I was going to be a journalist.
Really?
Yeah.
That would have been the end of you.
I think so. And then developed an interest for social work and youth work, and then ended up with the Salvation Army and got involved as an officer.
So did you ever break out and try the evil drink and the rest of it?
Yeah, when I was in Adelaide I did. Yeah, cut loose. But I didn't go too crazy, I don't think.
Yeah, I suppose everybody rebels to some extent. Do you ever go home?
Yeah, I do.
Not for long.
No, the dog barks at me from time to time because he thinks there's a stranger wandering around the house. But no, I go home and I think I've got an incredible family. I think my wife Sandra's just sensational, and we've got 3 great daughters. And I think sometimes I hear people say that Sandra's a great support and I couldn't do what I do without her, and that's true. But she actually makes an incredibly valid contribution to the city in her own right, and I think that often goes unrecognised.
What does she do in that sense?
She works very closely with people that are doing it pretty tough, and it's not just a matter of counselling, it's being with them for the whole journey, the long journey when they're getting back on their feet. She does a lot of work around our centre up at Bourke Street, so involved in, we've got a pretty huge hospitality program where we're working with over 2,000 people a week just up at Bourke Street, and she's heavily involved in all those sorts of activities.
But you're on the edge of something pretty ugly a lot of the time, well, both of you are with her work as well. How do you get away from it?
I love the footy. I love Collingwood, and I love going down to the games on the weekends, and that's my opportunity to switch off. I think we like going out to, we don't do it often enough, but love going to the movies, and I love a good book.
What are you reading?
At the moment, I'm reading Killing Fairfax, which is interesting.
Oh, terrific. Thanks for that.
Sorry about that.
How old are your daughters?
26, 22 and 18.
And what are they doing?
The 26-year-old is, she's working with us, so she's part of the team that's out on the streets caring for people. The 22-year-old is working with us as well, doing a similar work, and the 18-year-old's just finished year 12. And she's about to conquer the world, she says. So
no rebellion there yet?
Oh, no, it's already happened. Yeah, so with it, especially the 18-year-old, she's an interesting one. So she's a great kid. We had an interesting night at the Melbourne Awards the other night, Saturday night. She said to me she loves drama, and that's her big dream.
Wants to be an actress?
Yeah, and stand-up comedy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she said to me, she was mouthing, she was saying, you're with Roy. And I had no idea what she was talking about. So I called her over and I said, what are you talking about? She said, Roy Slavin is on your table from Roy and HG. And I said, no, he's not. She insisted, yes, he is. So she said, well, we'll go over and I'll introduce you. So we wandered over and she said, hi, I'm Kanisha, and how are you going, Roy? And this person turned around and said, Jeffrey Kennett, former Premier of Victoria. What are you talking about? So she said, oh, you look just like Roy Slavin. He said, I've often been mistaken. So she keeps us on our toes. So. Yeah.
Do you, with your children, even though you've got a 26-year-old, I've got kids that age too, they're still your kids, do you, given what you see, do you ever feel particularly fragile, or have you, as the kids are growing up, about your own children? I know my kids always said to me, you know, you're overprotective, or you see the bad side of things because you see so much of the bad side of things. You know, they're going out the first night they get their license, and you know, you don't do this, don't do that, sort of thing. Do you have that reaction with your kids?
Oh yeah, I think I'm a bit of a shocker actually, because I think I see a lot of really terrible things happen, and the last thing you want to do is see that happen to the people that you really love. And I think I'm probably overprotective, which is one of my weaknesses, yeah.
When you're dealing with some of these cases, and you have the drugs issues, you have the welfare issue, you have mental health issues, you have every problem there is on the streets of the city, what reaches you most? What hurts you?
Young kids being involved.
You mean really young?
Yeah, like we've worked with a 9-year-old who actually witnessed the death of a 13-year-old girl. That really hurts, you know, that really hits home. I think seeing young women that are being abused, I hate that stuff. Like we see women come in that have been beaten up by men, and I can't stand that stuff. And I think probably the other issue that we see around the city, particularly late Friday, Saturday nights, is young women that are really being taken advantage of, particularly by much older men.
What, because they're drunk or something?
Yeah, or not necessarily wiped out. They might have just had a few drinks and they can't get a taxi home, or there's no trains after 1 o'clock, so they end up walking. And there are men that deliberately come into the city to be predators, you know, that they're there looking out for these young girls that are really vulnerable. And I've seen seen some shocking stuff, and I that's the stuff that I really hate, and that's the stuff that really gets to me.
One of the things, I know you're chaplain for the Collingwood Footy Club, so you deal a lot with the players. One of the things that surprised me when I've got close to clubs over the years, you see these blokes running around out there playing footy, being tough, fit, young, healthy men. You look behind the scenes, they're just the same as any bunch of kids the same age, aren't they? With the same problems, insecurities, issues. Oh,
they're just boys. Yeah, and they're just boys. And they've got all the issues that normal 17, 18, 19-year-olds go through. These guys playing football aren't immune to any of that. And there are guys that we see that, you know, they might be dealing with relationship breakdown, issues with parents, gambling issues, there's drug and alcohol issues as well. All the same stuff that boys their age are dealing with in the broader community, and I think we often forget that and overlook it.
So we ask them to grow up a bit. I think it was Mick Malthouse said to me, we take their youth away. We get them at 16 or 17 and we expect them to behave like 25-year-olds within a couple of years. Oh,
absolutely. I think the control that's placed on a lot of young players by football clubs is incredible. Like there's really significant expectations placed on 17, 18, 19-year-old kids who actually don't know who they are. You know, they haven't explored life, they haven't grown up, they haven't worked through their issues, and yet there's this incredible pressure put on them by clubs, but also I think by us supporters too.
Given what you see, do you think Is life getting tougher for kids, or is it there's always been these problems just at different levels?
I think it's getting more complicated. I think we come into the city and, 5 years ago we were dealing with alcohol-fuelled violence. That was the big issue, late Friday, Saturday nights. For kids from the suburbs, good kids, they just come into the city. This year we've seen the emergence of GHB on the streets, and it's been horrific. And now we're seeing the emergence of ICE. And I think kids that come into the city, they're not just dealing with the question of having too much alcohol or watching out that somebody's going to hit them from behind. Now it's, people are on their case offering them GHB or ICE or whatever it might be. And I think, I'm glad I'm not a kid living today in Melbourne.
What's the future for you?
I hope to stay here. I love Melbourne. I think Melbourne's an absolutely sensational city. And, with this award, I think if a sports person had have received the award, or somebody that had been successful in business that had given back to the community had received the award, everybody would have said, that makes sense. But I think the fact that, somebody like me from an organisation like the Salvos that's committed to working with the most vulnerable receiving the award speaks absolute volumes about the heart of the city. It says it cares. And I want to stick around because of that heart, but I also want to stick around and do whatever I can do to help make sure that we never ever lose that heart as a city.
Well, good on you, Major Brendan Nottle, Salvation Army Melburnian of the Year. As a Salvo, can you play a tambourine?
I can barely blow my nose in tune.
I thought all Salvos had to be able to do that.
That's a myth. I can't blow an instrument. I'm not very musical at all. So if ever there's a microphone, they make sure I don't sing.
Thank you for coming in. Congratulations again, and not just on the award, but on the work. I know how well respected it is at all levels: government, local government, state government, and police. So good on you.
Thanks, Neil. And I reckon your hands are on that award too. A part of that award belongs to you because I think you do a sensational job in the city too, just raising the issues and making sure that the city remains great. And I really want to thank you for what you do. You're fantastic.
Thank you very much. And don't forget about Collingwood.
I can't. It's in the blood.
They're not this year. They won't make the 8. Will they?
I think we've got our hands on the cup.
Oh, jeez. Brendan Nottle.